Hey everyone, Mark here with Amplified Training, and before I dive into today's video, I first want to remind you to catch me over on Instagram as Amplified Training, and I also offer one-to-one coaching if you're looking for something a little more tailored to you. Without further ado, let's do further. Today we're going to be diving into my new free program, Westside for Chubby Bastards. A lot of you are probably familiar with Joe DeFranco's Westside for Skinny Bastards. That was one of my favorite programs I first ran when I started lifting weights. Helped me add a little muscle mass. Didn't bring my dad back from getting milk from the grocery store though, but hey, we'll take what we can get. Westside for Chubby Bastards. This is essentially designed for the gym goer who wants to learn the conjugate method, wanting to push strength and conditioning. Maybe you took the bulk just a little bit too far, or if you fell for that whole, hey, if I get a huge 1RM, that means I'm strong, which means I'm automatically gonna be jacked mindset. While that would be great if that were the case, it's not 9 times out of 10. So even if you aren't a chubby bastard, this is a great program if you're looking to add muscle mass and strength without the bloat, or you need a new conditioning challenge. Like I said, it's very similar to how I've been training as of late, and I've really been enjoying it. Also, can we just understand, chubby bastard is a term of endearment, it's not a value judgment. So for your weekly schedule on Westside for Chubby Bastards, you have 3 lifting days and then 2 cardio conditioning days. I run this as a Monday to Friday program, lift, conditioning, and lift. And what's nice is you're going to have weekends off. However, be mindful, your weekend eating is probably a big reason you just might be a chubby bastard. If you've been around for a while, you know in a lot of my programs how I like to do things with the accessory movements is I give you a menu of progressions you can use. It's no different here in Westside for Chubby Bastards. And that being said, when it comes to picking progressions or even changing them out, just be sensible, work hard, find ones that you yourself enjoy and will attack progress on. Alright, day 1 in the week. How it'll start off is you have your max squat, and it's going to be a progression wave, which I'll explain on the next slide. Then you're going to move into a circuit of a split stance Romanian deadlift or good morning, an ab movement of choice, and then a vertical pull of choice. So for example, you could do something like a dumbbell split stance Romanian deadlift, into ab wheel, into lat pull downs. You could do split stance SSB good mornings, into laying leg raises, into chin-ups. 4 rounds, and I've got rep ranges listed there on screen. And then after that, you'll have a finisher to do, which again will be explained on a later page. That's day 1, lower intensive, which is our replacement for max effort. On screen now, you're going to see the 5-week progression I use for the squat. How it'll work is you have 3 5-week blocks of a squat variation. So the idea here is you'll have 15 total weeks with a specific squat. In the first wave, what you'll do is you'll do 1 1/2 reps. So it's a full descent, halfway up, back down, all the way up for the first 5 weeks. You'll do a 5 RM, a 5 RM, a 3 RM, a 2 RM, and a 1 RM. And then you have back offsets listed on screen as well. Then in wave 2, same squat variation, you'll do pause squats. And then in wave 3, so this would be after you do the first 10 weeks, so this is weeks 11 through 15, it'll just be a regular squat. Now, as far as the suggested variations go, it could be a front squat, a high bar or SSB squat, or even a Smith machine if that's all you have access to. And the idea behind this wave is by doing the 1 1/2 reps first, this is going to help you learn how to control your eccentric better as well as your positioning out of the hole. Then the pause squats are there to help you improve again, just as you rise up out of it. Because you're in a calorie deficit, your leverages are going to be changing, and this program accommodates around that by using a variation that'll force you to go light at first, just while you adapt to the new situation with your calories, hydration, and leverages. Then after doing your big squat and your assistance circuit, you'll move into a lower body finisher. You got a few different options on screen now. There's a reverse sled drag. There is a split squat set where you would do reps with weight, then body weight, and then an isometric hold. That one's really painful. Then there's a pairing where you would go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of kettlebell goblet squats. And after every set of squats, you do 10 swings, adding up to 100 swings. Or you could do something like 40, 30, 20, 10 of banded good mornings and hamstring curls on a ball. The idea here is these are just going to help facilitate a little bit more stress on the muscle, get a good pump, get that heart rate up. Next up is our upper intensive day where you'll have your max effort horizontal press of choice with suggested progressions and variations will be covered in a later slide. Then a supplemental vertical or incline press of choice. And again, when it comes to all the progressions, we'll touch on those a little bit later in the video. Then a third press of choice, and here I want to suggest either dips or a dumbbell or machine press due to the progressions there that I suggest being very high rep. A row of your choosing, rear delts of your choosing, and then triceps of your choosing. This is a pretty high intensity upper body day. Much like the squat, the upper body press is going to be trained on a 3-wave 5-week progression. So in wave 1, you're going to do a close grip Larson bench press, which is a bench press where your feet are just up in the air. Then you'll move into a close grip bench and then a regular bench. Because much like I discussed at the squat, the idea here is picking variations that help you learn how to better tension and maintain control of the weight as your leverage is changed. Especially for a lot of lifters who, when they first start cutting weight, they'll find their bench really tends to fall off. And I think personally, a big culprit in that is they're not used to how their new body leverages adjust the way they set up on the bench. So the Larson press in the first 5 weeks really teaches you how to lock in your upper back. And again, you can do this with a barbell. You can do it with an axle, which is my personal preference, as I find that my triceps and elbows feel better with it, a Swiss bar, or even a Smith machine if that's what you have access to. Now, for the second press on your upper body day, I personally would suggest something such as a machine press of your choosing, a Smith machine 30-degree incline, a seated barbell shoulder press, a Smith machine shoulder press, or if your mobility allows for it, a seated behind the neck shoulder press. Because after doing your bench press, it's good to get some vertical work in. And I like these variations because they allow you to kind of shut your brain off and really push hard. They have lower stability demands as well versus something such as a standing barbell push press. Because after you've done your heavy bench work, your stability is going to be a little compromised, but we can still get some work out of your delts. And on that second press, we're going to be using what's called a TSBO, or top set back off progression. The idea being you'll hit a heavy set of 5 to 8, reduce the load by 20%, and then perform an additional set of max quality reps. And to progress the weight here, it's very simple. When your top set hits 8, go heavier next week. You'll see on screen at the bottom there, that's an example of how you might go across a 5-week wave. Third up here is our full body developmental day. This is essentially the replacement for dynamic effort. The reason being, the idea with this program here is we're not using speed work as you are in a calorie deficit. More than anything, we just want to focus on your general strength and muscle development. So I found that speed work, I like that more in a peaking phase. This is not a peaking program. You'll start with either a dumbbell, bench, or shoulder press. The reason I like to use a dumbbell here is we're going to be doing very high reps, very high volume. Then we'll move into your deadlift, then a vertical pull of your choosing, triceps of your choosing, and a single leg exercise of your choosing. And those last 3 exercises will be done as a circuit, if at all possible, in your gym. As far as day 3 goes with the main lift progressions, it's not too complicated. For your dumbbell press, you'll see the reps just on screen right now. The idea is every week you try to add a little weight or add some reps. With the deadlift, you want to use a roughly 90% of a recent 1RM, and you'll see the progression wave on screen there. Again, very simple. And you have the option too of, if you don't want to do the deadlift from the floor, you can instead swap it out for an RDL. This is good if you're someone who maybe doesn't do powerlifting or strongman, just looking for more overall muscular development. The RDL fits in really nicely here. You'll see the set reps on screen. And again, much like the dumbbell press, we're not using percentages. We're just going to try to add weight every single week and repeat that across multiple waves. Just a brief touch here on all the various accessory progressions. For example, if you're doing 4 sets of 6 to 10, you'd perform 4 challenging sets of 6 to 10 or more reps. And I have that all listed on screen, as well as a progression indicator. Same thing for mile match, rest pause, 8x8, and breakdowns. All you'll do here is, if you go through the various days, I'll have suggested progressions listed, but you can pick whichever ones you like. These are just some fun methods and means to help you attack your isolation and supplemental lifts, rather than the classic 3x8 to 12, where you don't keep track and probably don't make progress. Now let's move on to your cardiovascular conditioning work. There's no denying that we need to do cardio, and that doesn't just mean lifting weights faster. There are different adaptations that are done when you do steady state cardio. And the idea here is this is going to help you push nutrients in your muscles, help you recover between workouts, as well as help improve your in-workout recovery so you don't get as gassed during your heavy sets. You want to think of your cardiovascular system sort of like the suspension on your car. It bears the brunt of all the work we do on our body and all the work we subject our cars to. A strong engine can't shine on its own. As far as getting your cardio done, it's pretty gosh darn simple. I want you getting 30 to 60 minutes 2 to 3 times a week for your heart health, and you shouldn't be going max intensity. You want to think maybe 60 to 70% max effort. There's 2 methods I'll be introducing to help you get your cardio in. One is better suited for people in a commercial gym who don't have as much access to specialty equipment, whereas the second one, it's a little more equipment intensive, but it's also a bit more fun, so there's always trade-offs. Regardless of which method you use, or if you combine both like I tend to do, make sure the work gets to the point that you're never gasping for air. You should be able to talk but not sing while you're getting your cardio in. The first one, the 20-15-10 method, is just 20 minutes on one cardio piece, 15 on another cardio piece, and then 10 on another. This is 45 minutes of cardio done and dusted. When I'm doing this, I like to do something like the recumbent bike onto the elliptical and then an incline treadmill walk. And between every cardio piece, I might knock out 2 to 3 sets of either abdominal or rear delt work just to help address some weak links. And if you are a bit more experienced, You could go 25, 20, 15, or if you're just starting out, make it 15, 10, 5. Either way, the exact specific minutes don't matter as much as simply getting the work in. And another thing I like to do is I track my distance or calories burned on whatever cardio piece I use for that 20, 15, or 10-minute timepiece. And every week, I just try to notch off a small PR on it. I find it helps me stay motivated. The second option that I like is mixed means cardios. This is essentially a miniature WOD format. You'll add in some loaded movement, but you are not redlining, okay? This is not going to be HIIT training. We're not really a big fan of HIIT training for most of us. You want to pick movements that have lower loading and can be done cyclically. Again, move at a brisk but sustainable pace. I lovingly refer to these workouts as CrossFit adjacent, but a lot smarter. Here are a few examples of mixed means workouts on screen right now. For example, the first one, it's 12 minutes. And you're going to try and get 3 to 4 rounds in that 12 minutes, 10 dumbbell snatches each arm, 10 calories on the ski erg, 10 medicine ball slams, and then 10 reverse hypers. If you look at all those movements, they're all pretty quick, explosive, cyclical movements. They don't have a lot of eccentric loading, so they're not going to generate a lot of muscle soreness. I also really suggest against using barbell Olympic style lifts if you are trying to do those in the workouts. I prefer to see kettlebells or dumbbells as they're much more easy to cycle the reps through and they have less skill demand so you can focus on the task at hand, which is working your cardiovascular system. You'll see there's a few other options as well. Screenshot this if you'd like. My personal favorite way of approaching cardio is I combine the 20-15-10 method. So for example, I might do 20 minutes on the recumbent bike, and then I'll do some mixed means conditioning for my 15-minute block, and then either I'll do another 10 minutes on a cardio piece, or I'll do another 10-minute little mixed means conditioning phase. It doesn't really matter, again, as long as you're getting the work done. And when you are making your own mixed means method, a good simple rule of thumb to think about is you want your work intervals to take roughly 30 seconds with an accompanying 30-second rest or transition to the next movement. So you could do something such as kettlebell swings, battle ropes, jumping jacks, plank, and body weight air squats. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds rest with those 5 movements, 5 rounds through. That's a 25-minute workout right there. Now, as far as running Westside for Chubby Bastards and your nutrition, the program, because it is meant to be run in a fat loss phase, I like to use carb cycling. And the reason why is having those strategic higher carb days helps preserve performance in the gym, while the days that I don't need the carbohydrates, they're not there, so it helps make the deficit more easy to manage. You don't have to do this, but again, it's just something I've found to work really well. Overall, when it comes to fat loss phases for the strength athlete, I prefer that they be run fast and aggressively. That way you spend more total time in a calendar year eating at maintenance or slightly above, so you have more growth and strength improvement potential. As far as setting up your carb cycling approach, here's how I go about it. You'll first take your body weight and multiply it by 9.5. And then from there, you'll set your protein goal, which is 0.8 to 1 times body weight. If you are on the higher end of things and you have a lot more fat to lose, you'll probably set your protein goal a little bit lower. Then after that, what you'll do is you'll move on to carbs. Carbs will be set between body weight to body weight minus 50. And if you are someone who has more fat to lose, you should probably opt for the lower end of the carbohydrate intake. And then fats are your remaining calories. And then twice a week, you have a slightly higher carb, you could call it a refeed if you'd like, where you're going to get an additional 50 to 75 grams of carbs in. And this should be coming from quality food sources. And as far as where I like to put my refeed days, I tend to put them the days before my upper or lower intensive days. And the reason why is I personally have found when you train, you're training off of yesterday's food. So having the higher carb days come before intensive means you're probably going to have a better day in the gym and you won't have that same performance drop off that you might if you restrict carbs going into those workouts. There's nothing more demotivating than feeling like you're getting weaker. This helps fight against that. So as far as a few anticipated questions that I see receiving on this program, could you run it in a bulk or maintenance phase? Absolutely, I don't see why not. As far as the max effort waves go, the idea there is we're using mechanical disadvantages to start off. That way you're not training with as heavy of absolute weights while you adapt to the calorie deficit. But those variations will still allow you to train at a very high level of intensity, and they also help correct common, shall we say, flaws in most people's technique, namely control and positioning with the squat and the bench. So that way, by the time you're back at the standard variation of that lift, you're more likely to have really mastered all the technique, especially with your changed body leverages. I do have additional resources available on cardio programming. I have an ebook called Pulse Core that's available for free. If you did want to train 4 days a week, what I would do personally is I'd rather add a third cardiovascular conditioning day, or if you really need to hit those weights, consider doing something like a bodybuilding style arm day with 2 bicep and 2 tricep exercises. I prefer to see those done with either machines or dumbbells. You just, again, keep that low back from generating excess fatigue. And then as far as rest goes, Rest 2 to 4 minutes between compound movements or on those circuits you're doing with accessory movements. And then on the actual accessory movements themselves, rest maybe 1 to 2 minutes between sets. Again, kind of play it by ear, see how you feel. You want to think about 80% ready to go on your accessory movements for your rest intervals. Time to get back at it. Now, if you are someone who is in the sport of strongman or really adjacent to it like myself, here's how you could adjust it. Consider this the strongman remix. The deadlift will replace the squat on the lower intensive day, and your progression will go snatch grip, deficit deadlift, and then the standard deadlift. Then the bench on your upper intensive day would be replaced with a seated barbell press with no back support, to a standing strict press, to a push press. Your second press on the upper intensive day, it should be a horizontal or incline press, whichever you like. I personally would suggest a close grip or Swiss bar bench press done touch and go style to help retain that explosive start in your overhead press, as well as overload the triceps. And then lastly, the developmental day, swap out the deadlift for a squat of your choosing. I personally really like front squats. So that wraps up the program overview of Westside for Chubby Bastards. I think this would be a great program to help you retain, if not increase, your strength and muscularity levels. I hope you found this all useful, and if you're looking for a free copy of the PDF that I have here in the video, just hit the link down below and I'll get one sent over to you. Hope you folks are having a great day, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.